Alrighty, hi guys. Like Caitlin said, my name is Lizzie. I am a graduate from Independence, so I'm a little pretty familiar with the library and what they all have to do here. So today I'm going to be showing you three super easy, super cool treats that personally I still like to do, even though I am grown up now. But so I'll be showing you sugar-coated frozen grapes. I'll be showing you a super easy 2-ingredient salsa dip, whichever you'd like to call it. And lastly, s'mores bars that you can make from the comfort of your own kitchen. So to start off, I'm going to start with the sugar-coated frozen grapes. This is a great, easy, and healthy alternative to for someone if they have a sweet tooth. So parents, this also goes out to you if you struggle with a sweet tooth and want to eat every single piece of candy in sight like I do. To make it a little bit more fun for the kids, I've decided that we're going to roll it in fruit punch powder packets. You can do granulated sugar that you have in your cabinet. If you'd like to make it a little bit healthier option, you are more than welcome to use Crystal Light. Jello mix works great for this too. Any sort of sugar packet that you have will be great. So for the first one, we're going to do the sugar-coated grapes. And for my choice of powder, I have a fruit punch pack. I got these at Aldi's just because that's where I shop. And they come in different packs. And so for these, I'm only going to use one pack. So for the first half of it, the recipe calls for 4 cups total of grapes, a plastic baggie, and then the sugar powder of your choice. So here I'm going to start out with just 2 cups of the grapes. You're going to go ahead and toss them in a plastic bag. So it's actually a very clean activity, especially once we get to the sugar part. Parents, you'll be thanking me later for this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour the grapes into the bag. And so for this demonstration, I'm only going to be using 2 cups of grapes just to make sure I have enough grapes for the next activity for the grapes that I have. You're going to want to do that. And then the grapes, first off, you make sure you want to rinse them and make sure you dry them off real well before you place them in here. And then I like to use a little bit of lemon juice. You can also use lime juice just to ensure that the sugar sticks well, since you will be freezing these later. You want to make sure there's a little bit of a sort of agent in there. And then I just take 1 fruit packet. So my recipe, how I like to do it, is for every 2 cups of grapes, use a single powder packet. If you do go ahead and use anything like granulated sugar, or if you do have the container of Crystal Light or Kool-Aid, go ahead and use about 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup, depending on your preference. And grape preference is also up to you. I personally just like purple grapes because they aren't as sour as green grapes. So you're gonna go ahead. We're going to pour the pack on in here, make sure it gets all in there. And then just to make it easier to roll, you're going to go ahead and do that. Flatten everything out. Make sure all the air is out of there. And then I like to set it on the counter here, and you just start to roll. And you roll the grapes. You roll the grapes. And that's the nice thing about the plastic baggie, is because you can throw them around and you're not going to make a mess anywhere as long as you make sure it's sealed properly. Or this is a great way to get your anger out, It's whatever you have to do. And so there we have the grapes. And then I just roll the baggie up. You're more than welcome to lay it flat, but if your freezer's anything like mine, you have very little to no room to put anything else in there. So these work great if you roll it up. And you go ahead and you pop it in the door of the freezer. And there you have sugar-coated grapes. But let's say you're a parent with small children, or you're like me and you babysit small children. Another fun alternative for this is putting the grapes on a kebab. The little boy I babysit, he likes to call these grape-sicles because he thinks that eating anything off of a stick is way cooler, and I definitely agree with him. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to take the grapes and you're going to put them on a sewer stick, or if you have toothpicks laying around, you can make baby kebabs. Baby kebabs for little children, it goes hand in hand. So then you'll take another fruit packet or your 1/2 cup of sugar, And you'll open it like this. And I'm just gonna douse these in a little bit of lemon juice first. And I just do it over a plate. So there we go. Then you have your flavor packet here. You can just sprinkle them over. And definitely want to make sure you do get a little lemon juice on them, especially like this. They'll stick better. So then you just coat them all over. And then, so there we have it. You have the sugar-coated grapes. And these can also go in the freezer because I would not recommend eating the sugar straight out of it. But, you know, kids like to do wacky things sometimes. And so then with the remainder of the grapes that I have, since I didn't choose to do all 4 cups, is I have a little bit of lemon juice on here and the rest of the packet mix that didn't make it onto the grapes. So if you want to make this even more interactive for small children, you just simply take the grapes and you roll them on the plate. So make sure there's not too much lemon juice on the plate, but it will work all in all. And then you can just roll them on here just to make it for a little bit more of a fun interactive activity for them. And then you can go ahead and take another skewer and pop them right on there. I'd say, and I am using fruit punch mix, so my hands are now stained, but you know, it's not fun if it has to be good. It's gonna be a little messy. But that's also where the bag comes in because it's a mess-free snack. I mean, grapes, I don't know if any of you have ever had frozen grapes before, but I do eat them daily just to kind of kill that sweet tooth that I have. But grapes frozen on their own already give it a sweeter taste to it, especially green grapes. So adding sugar on top of this will make it definitely more sweet than what they already would be frozen on their own. Using the fruit punch packet, I did realize that these definitely taste more like Sour Patch Kids, and Sour Patch Kids is one of my favorite candies. So I think this was definitely a win-win situation. All right, wash my hands. And again, just pop them in the freezer. My skewers are a bit long, but just pop them in the freezer for about, I'd say about 20 minutes or so. They'll be perfect to go. Alrighty, and that is sugar-coated frozen grapes. And all of these recipes will be published on the library's website later on, so you don't have to go back through the entire video to get the ingredients piece by piece. But again, a recap for the frozen grapes. You'll have 4 cups of grapes of your choice. It doesn't matter which ones they are. You'll have a sweetener of your choice. I chose to do water flavor packets, but you're more than welcome to use granulated sugar, Crystal Light, Kool-Aid, jello mix even. For jello mix, I would just go ahead and use the entire little box of it. For granulated sugar and Crystal Light, I'd go about half a cup to 3/4 of a cup. You'll need just a little bit of lemon juice. Lime juice works as well. Anything that's gonna be a little acidic that will allow the sugar to stay on the grapes. And a gallon baggie to just roll them and then pop them in the freezer. So it's pretty easy, pretty basic recipe. So for the second recipe we're gonna do tonight, I call this a cream cheese salsa dip. Some people call this salsa. Some people say this is a very wacky dip, and I don't know where Lizzie got this idea. So the salsa dip is 2 ingredients. You're gonna have a pack of room temperature cream cheese and a salsa of your choice. Again, I shop at Aldi's, and I really do enjoy their thick and chunky medium salsa that they have there. Great deal too, $1.89. Like if you're a college kid balling on a budget, this is the way to go. So I came up with this recipe one night when I realized I had a friend's birthday party to go to the next night. and it turned out that I did not prep anything for it like I told them they would. Well, two staple food items in my pantry are cream cheese and salsa. Keep them on hands at all time because cream cheese can go great in just about anything. I like to make a lot of homemade mac and cheese, so this is a good staple for it. So what you want to do, you just want to have a bowl of some sort, 1 8-ounce container of cream cheese, and an entire can of salsa. Usually, depending on, I usually double this recipe, so I use 2 of this and a whole can. Usually you'll want to use half a cup to 3/4 of a cup, but I like to take a risk, and we're just going to use the whole can of salsa because I love this dip. So you'll go ahead and you'll open this at room temperature. Like my boyfriend asked me for a day ago, he goes, well, why does it have to be at room temp? Well, sweetie, I don't want to get out the hand mixer or dirty my KitchenAid for one simple ingredient or 2 simple ingredients. So room temperature just allows it so you can mix it by hand and not be tired by the end of it all. So we have the cream cheese in a bowl. To make the recipe a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and smash it down a little bit just so it's not as bulky when I pour the salsa in. So I have my measuring cup here. I'm going to go ahead and measure out a cup of salsa. This is a 2-cup measuring cup, but I'm just going to go ahead and measure 1 cup. Oh, I don't know if I can get it open. Dad. Oh, comedy and a show. This is not nice. So since I am only using 1 thing of cream cheese, I am going to go ahead and just measure this out a little bit. The salsa already smells amazing. I say there's just about a little over 1.5 cups in this jar, so chances are I'm going to end up adding it all. But depending on the jar of the salsa as well, I know the Taco Bell salsa that you can buy at Walmart, it comes in smaller cans. It poured the whole thing in, made it before, and it made it taste great. So you have your cream cheese mashed. Go ahead and pour the salsa in there. And then you're just going to go ahead and mix it all together. Since the cream cheese is not melty, there are going to be chunks of cream cheese. So that's why I would recommend using a spatula or a bigger solid back spoon, just to make sure that you can mash everything up so there's not as many clumps of cream cheese in the dish, like when you go to eat it with chips, pretzels, really anything that you like to dip in dips will work. I personally love pretzels because it adds a salty flavor to it. But like I said, any dip would work. I would not recommend dipping vegetables in this, but you guys do you. So you're just gonna go ahead. It looks gnarly. Don't be afraid. Like, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge the salsa by the way it looks, because chances are it's gonna be bomb. So we're just gonna mash it up. A hand beater would work, but a little effort won't kill you, especially in the summertime, since we're not working as much. I am a student as well, so I understand the pain of having to flip your brain on every single morning, and come summertime, you don't want to do any of that. So you're just going to go ahead and mix it up. Another thing I like to add, since it is pretty, depending on what, how spicy of salsa you do use, this dip does turn out to be pretty mild. So if you'd like to spice it up a bit, I know parents, I'm sure all of you can handle the heat. Some pantry staple items that I like to use is chili powder, chili flakes. My dad has a little thing of ghost pepper, which doesn't actually make it as extreme as it sounds. We've used it like once before, and it gave it the perfect amount of heat. And that says a lot because honey barbecue sets my mouth on fire. So, but you can use any staple pantry, anything that'll give it a little extra extra boost. Or I have used paprika in this before, and it did give it that nice smoky flavor that sometimes you like to look for. But so once you get it all, I'm not going to try to get all the clumps out, but it turns out to kind of look like this. It's going to have a little bit of a weird consistency, but I promise you it'll be good. So it's going to give it like a, I don't know, like a salmon color. I don't know if any of you know what salmon meat looks like, but it looks like this. So here we have the salsa. And it is going to be a little runny at first, so I recommend putting it in the fridge for about an hour or two. But like I said, this is usually my go-to for a last-minute dinner party or like a friend get-together. So maybe you don't have time, but it is always better to let this sit. That way it gets a little more firm, it has a little more volume, so it's just better for overall dipping. So you'll just pop a lid on this. Pop it in the fridge for about an hour or two, and voila, you have 2-ingredient salsa. No, you don't have any. And graham crackers would not go good with it. This is the one. So just a recap for that 2-ingredient salsa, you'll need 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese, a jar of salsa of your choice. Just make sure the cream cheese is at room temperature so you don't dirty that beautiful KitchenAid mixer that you have, and just mix it all together. You can add in staple pantry items like chili powder, chili flakes, ghost powder or ghost pepper powder, anything like that if you'd like. And then enjoy with chips, pretzels, and pita chips is also good with it if you're looking for another healthy alternative. Wait, I need that. I need that measurement cup. Actually, never mind. I'm using it from up here. Alrighty, and lastly, for the final cool and easy treat, if there's one thing anyone should know about me, it should be that my go-to staple food in the summer is a nice, warm, toasted marshmallow over the campfire, smacked between 2 pieces of graham cracker with some chocolate in there. Or what my friends like to do, they like to put a Reese's peanut butter cup within the marshmallow after they're done cooking it, and then slap it between 2 pieces of graham cracker. Absolutely stunning, super duper good. So I have a staple recipe that you can make s'mores from the comfort of your own kitchen, even in the middle of winter when it's -20 outside and you just really want to feel like summer is near. So what you're gonna need, this recipe can be made in the microwave or on the stovetop, but for the parents with smaller children, if you don't feel comfortable with them using the stovetop quite yet, especially if you have a gas stove, microwave is the way to go. So here I have a microwavable bowl. I have 5 tablespoons of butter, a pack of mini marshmallows. Mini marshmallows just work better for this recipe. A box of golden grams, but at Aldi's they have honey grams. Tastes the same. And then I have semi-sweet chocolate chunks. What I did last time I made this recipe was I bought 2 regular size Hershey candy bars, broke them up, and then sprinkled them on top, but I had chocolate chunks on hand, so that's what we're gonna use. And lastly, you'll need a 9x13 pan, non-stick spool. We're gonna spray it down anyways. So what you'll first wanna do is coat your pan. You can use butter or you can use like olive oil spray. I'm just gonna go ahead and take the easy way out and use olive oil cooking spray. So you just want to make sure that the pan is evenly coated and you get all the little nooks and crannies that come with it. And for now, we're just going to go ahead and set this aside. You'll see why that's important later. And then we have our 5 tablespoons of butter. It doesn't need to be room temperature because, again, we're going to be microwaving it. So just plop the butter right in there. And from there, we're going to take our mini marshmallows. So the recipe initially calls for 5 cups of mini marshmallows. As you'll see by the end of this recipe, I end up using the entire bag of marshmallows. I got it. And so the library has provided me with this beautiful 4-cup measuring cup because I did not rinse the salsa out of mine. I'm just going to go ahead and pour the marshmallows out. Alrighty, we have 4 cups of marshmallows right into the microwavable bowl. And 1 cup is going to be all the way down here. Again, 5 cups you'll want to microwave. 5 cups total, so 5th cup, pop it right in there. And so what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to put it in the microwave for about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to about 3 minutes, stirring every 45 seconds to a minute. While we're watching all of that, you're going to go ahead and take a box of golden grams, or in my case, honey grams. Go ahead and open it. So the recipe initially calls for 8 cups of golden grams. Well, truth be told, this box has 8 cups total in it. So someone was looking over me today when I went out and bought this. And to make this recipe a little bit easier, since I am using a smaller bowl, since I'm not making it on the stove top like I normally would, it's okay to go ahead and crush up the golden grams just to make it a little bit easier to mix, and you'll see why when we get to that step. There's about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on there. So in between this next minute, I'm going to go ahead and just crumble these up a little bit. Just crush it up ever so slightly. You don't want them to be in crumbly, itty bitty pieces because that kind of defeats the purpose of this dish. So, I mean, you could roll it out with a can because there is enough volume in here, but your fingertips will work. Just think about it like when your cat climbs up on you at night, and it kind of starts kneading you. He's kneading the bread, well, you're kneading the cereal. Alrighty, I'm gonna give that about 30 more seconds, but you see here, we kind of have our cereal. It's all a little mashed up. Of course, there's still gonna be big pieces. You just wanna go ahead and get your cereal ready. So the bag's open. Now we have melted marshmallow and butter. But to ensure it doesn't stick, we're going to go ahead and pour the cereal in right away. And I usually do half a bag, stir it in a little bit, stir in the other half. Oh, well, you know, it's not baking if you don't make a mess. And I'd rather make a mess with these than the sugar-covered grapes. Go ahead and pour the rest of the bag in there. And this is a sticky mess, but it's okay. And you can hear that I'm crushing up the cereal a bit still, just with the spoon because, again, not all the pieces are going to get crushed when you are crushing them within the sealed cereal bag. And when using the microwave versus the oven top, the microwave, if you've ever made Rice Krispies before, you're gonna know that marshmallow likes to sit extremely fast. So the trick that I use when making these in the microwave is that I take the rest of the marshmallows that are in the bag. It's not a lot, but it's gonna be just enough. And I just plop them right back on top, and I pop it in the microwave for about another 30 seconds to a minute, just keeping an eye. I'd say to about a minute or so. I just mixed it with 40 seconds left, and the marshmallows weren't quite melted on top yet, but it's what's on the inside that I'm really looking for to remelt, just so I can make sure all the cereal is coated accordingly. So in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna grab our greased 9x13 pan, our semi-sweet chocolate chunks. And if you're not really wanting to make a mess, another tip with the pan is layering it horizontal, like hot dog and hamburger is what we always called it. Hot dog and hamburger style. That way, after you do pop them in the freezer, it's easier to take them out and pop them down and then cut them. So whatever works for you. Alrighty, and now we have our mixture again. Just gonna give it one last stir. See how much this is mixing so much easier than it was before. And I have marshmallow all over my shirt now. Again, it's not cooking unless you get dirty. It's not. But my dad always tells me if I cook or if I bake something, I have to clean it up. So I guess the less mess, the better. Because if you're like me, you don't like doing dishes. And I am so thankful that I have a dishwasher. It's just one of those things. Alrighty, so these are done. Our pan is coated. We're gonna go ahead and plop them right in. This is very... I'm gonna go ahead and plop the marshmallow butter cereal mixture. And yes, I know that the cereal does get warm in the microwave, but again, you're popping these in the freezer or in the refrigerator for a period of time, so you don't have to worry about having soggy cereal, because no one likes soggy cereal. And don't be afraid to use your hands, because that's where this is gonna end up going. Ooh, that's hot. Got marshmallow stuck on my finger. That's hot. And it's in this moment where my father would look at me and tell me to flip my brain on. Maybe greasing your fingers would also be really good for something like this, but I know kids like to get down and dirty, so. Oh, this is hotter than it was when I made them earlier. Well, they're all sticking to this. It's not, no, I'm just gonna make it all so it's not on one side. I've actually never made Rice Krispie treats before, so I guess this is my payback for all those years. Eaten a lot of Rice Krispie treats, I've just never made them. Puppy chow though, puppy chow. No, that's fun to make. Alrighty, so there we have our mixture across our greased pan. You just want to make sure you coat the bottom of it. So just make sure that the bottom is coated with the mixture. It doesn't have to look perfect, and it will be uneven just due to these marshmallows clumping against the cereal. So usually what you can do, you can measure out about about a cup and a fourth of chocolate chunks. I'm someone who just likes to eyeball it, so here goes nothing. When you're using the Hershey bars, I just break them up by the individual squares and just kind of place them along there, just making sure that at least there's a piece where you're gonna cut them. That way you do really get the s'mores effect. But with these little chocolate chunks, you can just kind of pop them anywhere, because with how little they are, and especially if you're scattering them over like I am, they're gonna go in. Another trick to making the bar is that if you do really want that ooey gooey goodness, especially with the chocolate melted, you could go ahead and about the last 30 seconds that the marshmallow butter mixture and cereal mixture is in the microwave, or this could even be before the cereal goes in, you can go ahead and melt the chocolate in with it as well. That way it's like an ooey gooey chocolate marshmallow. And then when the cereal goes in, you instantly have that melted chocolate like you would if you were around a campfire roasting a marshmallow. Yep. So here's that. And I just kind of like to press some of the chocolates that didn't really fit in the crevs as nice as I would like them to. I just go ahead and I just press the little chocolate pieces in. That especially gets them melty. I mean, there's already a few of them slipping and sliding in here. So that's the benefit of the doubt of rewarming the marshmallow mixture with the cereal in it, is that it's gonna stay hot just a little bit longer, just enough to get that mixture melted. So there we have it. There is our S'mores bars. You'll just go ahead and pop them in the freezer for about 20 minutes, but if you're forgetful like me, they'll end up in there for an hour or two. So I just place them out, like set them in the microwave and just let them thaw out on their own before cutting them, because these babies suck to cut when they're absolute frozen. There's not room in there, so I'm just gonna pop them.
Yeah, just put it in the fridge.
And then I did make a batch earlier. So what the bars will look like when they're done, they will look like this. So they're even gonna be stuck to the plate. That's how you know that's good. But yeah, well, you'll just have a S'mores bar, an ooey gooey goodness. So thank you everyone for coming to watch. For those watching, do you have any questions? Otherwise, I'm sure a lot of you know me, so if you have questions, I'm sure you know how to get a hold of me. But thank you guys for coming and watching this Teen Kid edition on cool and easy frozen treats. Thank you.